September 2012, the year the world was going to end according to the Mayan calendar. In the midst of it all, a Facebook post got the Zeppelin community wondering and speculating. A series of images were released as a sort of countdown. Was it a new album? Touring? What the hell could it be? I was 25 years old, no facial hair still, and there I was, playing in my third tribute band by the name of September. By then I was well into my Zeppelin studies. Like a spokesman for everything pertaining to the group, my excitement and enthusiasm managed to get my musician friends who were casual fans into playing in a Zeppelin tribute band. I still wonder why they bothered to listen, never mind learning their material. Who knows? But thank you guys. We had fun. Like many of these projects though, it had a short lifespan, and I always felt like the crazy madman whose Zeppelin fandom would bring people close and push them away later on. 2012 seemed like another dead-end year for Led Zeppelin fans with no physical product release, Robert Plant bashing Zeppelin in the press, Jimmy Page promising a new album, and John Paul Jones collaborating on another low-key project. And then it happened. An official Led Zeppelin film by the name of Celebration Day was going to be released, putting an end to all available bootlegs at the time and bringing the band back into the mainstream spotlight. The thought of watching a concert in high-definition video had the Zeppelin fever running on all cylinders. The Zepp community was thrilled and going nuts. Closest thing we got back then was a newsreel showing a brief clip of the band performing Black Dog. But like with all things Zeppelin, there was a catch. The stuff we'd been waiting for the last 5 years was coming to our local theaters for just one night, just one screening. One chance at catching the show, which I found interesting, as it was a conceptual release tying in with a reunion, being one show and that was it. Despite audio and video bootleg recordings circulating for years, the event was a very special occasion to finally see the show in the best quality possible. Because they only had one show to choose from, every fan knew the setlist by now, but the question remained on the sound, as the O2 Arena was not the best venue to manage the low frequencies of the show. I got 3 tickets from my mom, my dad and myself. This historical event couldn't be missed. We got to the theater at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, October 17th, 2012. We were joined by some of my tribute band friends and waited for the premiere. The opening for Good Times Bad Times was epic. I played air drums and air guitar from my seat throughout the 124 minutes of film. So much to absorb in so little time. The annoying camera cuts every 2 seconds could be tiring on the eyes. Wish they had more steady shots like the bootleg did. But overall, it was a magnificent film, showing an unprecedented level of detail with just one letdown. The audio mix was a bit dry and didn't have the audience depth of the bootlegs. More on this later on. The movie didn't use the theater surround sound spectrum, but despite the technical complaints, I have many favorite moments from the show. To see Plant, Page, Jones and Bonham on the big screen was a visual and musical milestone. Behind the movie lied a series of events up to the day Led Zeppelin took the stage one last time. An artistic statement of power, brotherhood and grief, channeling the voice of 20 million ticket applicants for 20,000 seats and one show at the O2 Arena London. The night of December 10th, 2007 made Ahmet Ertegun happy and John Henry Bonham proud of his son. This is the making of Celebration Day.
Rock legend Jimmy Page has appeared at Glasgow Sheriff Court as a witness in a bootlegging trial. The 63-year-old Led Zeppelin guitarist spoke in the case of a trader allegedly caught with thousands of counterfeit CDs and DVDs at a record fair at the SECC in Glasgow 2 years ago. Some of the evidence included previously unreleased performances by the band. The trial continues.
You know him from his Led Zeppelin days. John Walter! We're just going to make sure that we can hear.
Reunion shows, one of the most profitable events in music and a must for classic rock fans. Everybody wants their favorite band to come back, especially if you're into Led Zeppelin. The new millennium and the year 2000 brought new fears and hopes, the dawn of a new era. The famous Y2K bug conquered and computers not crashing. The decade began with a great movie about classic rock that captured the minds of many. Directed by Cameron Crowe, the film was a fictional story based on his own recollections as a Rolling Stone journalist, including his travelings with Led Zeppelin on their 1975 tour. Almost Famous was one of the few movies to feature the band's songs on its soundtrack, which spoke volumes of the close relationship Crowe had with Zeppelin. Many iconic scenes from the movie would influence a new generation of listeners. Following the closure of the Millennium Experience in London at the end of 2000, the Millennium Dome was leased in December 2001 for redevelopment as an entertainment complex. This included plans for an indoor arena. Construction started in 2003 and finished in 2007. While the 219 concerts Page and Plant played from 1984 to 1988 catered to fans around the world, the elephant in the room was the absence of John Paul Jones. Not only his bandmates seemed to forget his phone number, but a great opportunity was lost to revisit the Zeppelin catalog with all three members. Page and Plant went separate ways in 1988. John Paul Jones went back on the road from March to July of 2000 promoting his first solo album, Zuma. With a tight band to showcase his multi-instrumentalist skills, Jonesy was ready to conquer the niche of music connoisseurs who wanted to experience his show firsthand. His instrumental setlist was a delightful selection of moments from Jones's catalog, as well as Led Zeppelin classics.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. It sure is nice to be back here. I tell you, this is fantastic. Okay, everybody, it's dinosaur time. If you've seen this show before, you will know what dinosaur time is. This next song is not quite dinosaur, it's kind of medieval, I suppose. It's from the 80s. The decade that time forgot, right? This is from a thing I can only describe as a thing called Scream for Help. Damn. Hey, get a life, buddy. This isn't a bass, damn it. Do you know, I forget that one. Can't remember that. I'll do something else.
A second concert season took place in the heavy tension United States of late 2001. Despite his best intentions, promoters started to ask him if he could add a vocalist to make the show easier to book, an argument that makes no sense as his music existed in the same universe of King Crimson and Jeff Beck's Heavy Attack band at the time with Jennifer Batten. Jonesy got fed up of promoters wanting to change his show and cancelled any further solo touring plans. Jones played one more show in 2003 at the Hard Rock Cafe Japan along an all-star supporting cast, and that was it. Besides the occasional collab here and there, he never toured again as a solo artist. John Paul Jones continued to work as an arranger and producer. His guest spots included piano and mandolin on Foo Fighters' In Your Honor album from 2005, as well as conductor on The Pretender from 2007. Robert Plant resumed his solo touring and recording career, releasing 2002's Dreamland, his first album since 1993, followed by 2005's Mighty Rearranger, which saw him stepping away from the heavy rock circuit, going into Americana, folk, world music, and rearrangements of Zeppelin classics to suit his voice and seasoned rockstar mode.
I've ever sung that before on stage. That was quite a treat. We'll get a little bit of help down here. I mean, what would you do without this shit? Look at
It seemed he was now the singer he always wanted to be, just another guy in a band, a traveler of the world, forever a restless soul. Plant released his 9 Lives box set in late 2006. It sold very well and moved him farther away from the Zeppelin fame of the past, celebrating his own realm of riches. Jimmy Page and the Black Crowes released their Live at the Greek album in February of 2000. The album featured great versions of Zeppelin classics that benefited from the band's lineup, making songs like Your Time Is Gonna Come and Sick Again sound terrific. Many had high hopes for this project, including Jimmy himself, but was later disappointed. Black Crowes' drummer Steve Gorman revealed guitarist Rich Robinson snubbed off Page's offer to write songs with them. Rich Robinson denies it to this day. Page and Plant reunited in 2001 to record a Hank Williams classic for a compilation album, Good Rockin' Tonight, the legacy of Sun Records. They would join forces on stage on July 7th at the Montreux Jazz Festival for a special set of all-timer rock and roll tunes, including a surprising first ever run at Led Zeppelin's Candy Store Rock from Presence.
This is a song that came from the Presence album, leans very heavily in that area. Apologies to Johnny Otis. It's called Candy Store Rock.
Jimmy would only play 3 shows until 2007. The MTV Music Awards on November 8, 2001, which I remember watching it live. I'm not ashamed to say I was into Limp Bizkit in the year 2000. Coming back to classic rock in 2001 made this Limp Bizkit Led Zeppelin crossover an incredible experience to witness. Puddle of Mudd's video for Blurry featured the singer wearing a Led Zeppelin shirt, so it was all full circle, I guess.
Are you a big fan of the internet, Jimmy?
Hey?
Are you a big fan of the internet? Do you use the internet much?
Yeah, no, my old lady does it.
Right.
And Jimmy, you know, we reached out to him and I told him I wanted to do the song Thank You because it was the best song that touched my heart that I could think that really went with the way I felt about the people I wanted to thank.
Yeah.
And as soon as we reached out to him, he was just like, yeah, and then we were like,
You didn't
really?
have to even think twice about it?
No, I jumped on it actually, but it was a very last minute thing. Anything to do with guitars, it's 6 strings. And what can come out of those 6 strings, and has all through the years, is absolute, and what will come, absolute magic. You know?
Page's next show was his Teenage Cancer Trust on February 9th, 2002. Page, Plant and Jones briefly reunited to promote their new Led Zeppelin product, released in 2003, with Jimmy taking center stage through various music publications. The highly anticipated visuals saw a New Year premiere on May 27th, a first for Led Zeppelin since the song remains the same in 1976. His last musical performance was at the New York Stock Exchange on May 11th, 2005. Jason Bonham made his feature film debut in the 2001 Hollywood movie Rockstar. He then joined forces with the Helium Sixes, releasing an album in 2002 by the name of Enormous Sound.
For me to get real excited, be something like if it was Chris Cornell and Slash. Now that would be a supergroup. Well, my name is Jason Bonham. I've been playing drums now since I was 5. And the madness began. First band, I was 16. There's a band called Air Race, which we signed to Atlantic, which led me to get my own thing together, Bonham, in the late 80s, early 90s. What I'm doing now, I play drums to Foreigner. Because you're the son of John Bonham, one of the greatest, if not the greatest rock and roll drummer that walked this earth. That was in the third biggest band ever, Led Zeppelin. I'll always be known as the kid. Why am I doing this show? I think it could be an amazing project.
Hi, kid.
Jason Bonham, damn glad to meet you.
Jason, nice to see you, son. I didn't recognize Jason when he first came in. Immediately made me think of the thunder drumming, thunder god John Bonham legacy, and that he does an exceptional, if not downright perfect job. We shall call upon the souls of all blood brothers past and make them prouder than you think?
Oh, definitely. It's going to be a challenge. Because he's got such a strong personality.
We're overthinking this. It was good.
It just sounded like old guy rock.
Yeah. By the way, that's killer.
The Rolling Stones played the first of 2 shows in the midst of their tour. The concerts were filmed by Martin Scorsese for the 2008 release, Shine a Light. Among attendees was Atlantic Record founder Ahmet Ertegun, a legendary name that shaped the careers of many, including John Coltrane, Ray Charles, and of course, Led Zeppelin. Just before the Stones hit the stage, Ertegun fell backstage. He tripped and struck his head on the concrete floor. He was taken to the hospital and fell into a coma. Ahmet Ertegun died on December 14th, 2006. A business icon for the recording industry, his passing shocked the world, including Page, Plant and Jones. Ahmet was a longtime friend for Led Zeppelin. The ever-present enthusiasm and support from him was like a father figure past Peter Grant's protection. His love for the band played a key role in their 70s dominance, as well as the post-Led Zeppelin world of the 80s, where he acted as a great advisor in times of need and despair. His relationship with the surviving members plus Jason was like a family. Where Peter Grant and the band parted ways in the 80s, Ahmet remained a connection to the past, present, and future. Honoring their friendship and memories was the best way to celebrate his legacy. Was Ahmet Ertegun the most powerful energy in the Led Zeppelin universe? The answer is simple. His influence got Robert Plant singing Stairway to Heaven again. The first Ahmet Ertegun tribute was celebrated at the Lincoln Center on April 17, 2007. Similar to the Atlantic 1988 reunion, the list of performers that day included the likes of Wynton Marsalis, Eric Clapton, Solomon Burke, Bette Midler, Benny King, Kid Rock, The Manhattan Transfer, Phil Collins and Earl Sturmer, Stevie Nicks, Crosby, Stills and Nash, and more. John Paul Jones played bass during the Benny King set. Stevie Nicks sang her own version of Led Zeppelin's rock and roll. Robert Plant's manager, Bill Kerbishley, suggested the idea of a second memorial concert for Ahmet. Plant's career at the time had him still promoting the 2005 Mighty Rearranger album with The Strange Sensation. The band toured the UK, Europe and Middle Eastern countries like Turkey from March through August 2007. Although they performed tracks from the latest album, their setlist features several Zeppelin numbers played with new arrangements, or should I say, mighty rearrangements, where Plant was free to experiment with new alternate vocal phrasing styles that better suited his range. Like in 1988, John Paul Jones and Jimmy Page's concert schedule was empty at the moment, so any plans for a reunion had to be worked around Robert's agenda. Live shows at the O2 Arena began in mid-2007 with an opening ceremony on June 23rd, featuring acts such as Tom Jones, Kaiser Chiefs and Snow Patrol. September 12, 2007, producer Harvey Goldsmith confirmed Led Zeppelin would reunite with Jason Bonham on drums. The concert was scheduled for November 26th at the O2 Arena, London, but was pushed back to December 10th after Jimmy Page fractured his little finger on his left hand. The 2000 Zeppelin reunion was one of the most anticipated shows ever. It broke the Guinness World Record for highest demand for tickets for one music concert at 20 million applicants. I was one of them and hoped to get one of the 2,000 seats for this once-in-a-lifetime show. Tickets were made available via a lottery or raffle system through the website ahmettribute.com, costing $250, with all proceedings going to Ahmet's own charity and education fund, which pays for scholarships in the UK, USA and Turkey. The website exceeded its bandwidth and crashed almost immediately following the announcement of the Zeppelin reunion. Back then, I was 6 years into my guitar playing days, and it was an exciting time for me, a constant state of euphoria and possibilities. Many seem to share this thought as well. 2007 is considered by many as the greatest year ever, the golden era of pre-centralized internet, and much more. Just a week after my 20th birthday, I was the opening act for Argentinian guitar virtuoso Luis Salinas with a 30-minute set. Life was rock and roll. I had a new girlfriend and started working at a corporate tech sales company. Things were looking good. I told my boss I might have to go to England if I won the reunion show raffle. He was excited and greenlighted any time off I needed to attend the Led Zeppelin show. It felt real. I saw myself traveling to London. But of course, I didn't get the golden ticket. October 23rd, 2007. Raising Sand was released. The album of Alison Krauss and Robert Plant was both a commercial and critical success. It remains Robert Plant's second best-selling album, right behind 1988's Now and Then, and one spot above 1994's Unleaded. Robert's career struck gold with the record, and the duet was a match made in heaven, with no stairways of course. Looking back at previous reunion attempts, 2007 had the Robert Plant success of 1988, with the experimentation of 1985, plus the willingness to play Zeppelin material of 1985. The timing for the 2007 reunion was perfect. Robert managed to keep focused on the show. Paying tribute to Ahmet transcended any previous beef between him and Zeppelin. With a 56-state tour with Alison Krauss planned for 2008, he had enough time to work with Page, Jones and Bonham for 6 weeks before the show, as well as having a good reason not to continue afterwards. Led Zeppelin released 2 titles for the fans that were counting the days till December. First off, the Mothership compilation album was released on November 12th, including a DVD of selected cuts from the 2003 set. It was a greatest hits package that tried to capture the market just in time for the concert. Mothership was unfortunately a very compressed album to the point of causing ear fatigue. Quite a shame really, as the artwork was really cool. The band rounded up the experience on November 20th with an expanded CD and DVD version of The Song Remains the Same, featuring songs not included on the original 1976 release, such as The Ocean, Over the Hills and Far Away, Black Dog, Since I've Been Loving You, Misty Mountain Hop, and Heartbreaker. Compression-wise, the album suffered the same problem as Mothership. The 2018 version fixed the compression, but left in controversial edits that cut the energy and beauty of the original 1976 release. More on this on a separate video. With the Zeppelin flame ignited, it was down to the band to immerse themselves at Shepperton Studios for rehearsal and redeem themselves from any bad memories from Live Aid 1985 and Atlantic 1988. The Zeppelin reunion show pushed back to December was a dangerous move with the O2 Arena's busy concert schedule. British pop group Take That, without Robbie Williams, came back after a 10-year absence with a #1 album and reunion shows including 9 dates at the O2. The Spice Girls were also back in the news with a press conference in June announcing a highly anticipated 47-show reunion tour. They played 3 dates at the O2 Arena, just days apart from Led Zeppelin.
This is Pulse. Here is news editor Scott Schuster.
Good evening. It really was the biggest crowd ever assembled for a single performance in one place in the entire history of the world. It was tonight, and it was in Tampa. The name of the group, Led Zeppelin. They've been around for years.
You can't get a blowjob in time. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Us done.
Oh, my Jesus, oh, my Jesus, oh, my Jesus, oh, my Jesus. Come on now, come on now.
This is not very funny. I'm marooned in a head full of words.
Love, baby. I just can't stop talking about love.
Mick, are you recording this? Yeah. Good. I don't think we played that well since about 1910.
The band played a full rehearsal at Shepperton Studios on December 6th. The recording was leaked into collecting circles, revealing some songs were downtuned to help Robert's voice through the set. A surprising and controversial move that nowadays seems frequent, with many classic rock bands still touring and their singers not getting any younger. While most of the set was played in standard tuning, some tracks were played one step lower. You may be thinking, lower tuning on the strings? It's easier, right? Wrong. It actually makes it harder to play these songs. While lower string tension and distortion may work for new metal bands, it can be quite a nightmare on guitar and bass with the kind of structure and components Led Zeppelin songs have. Strings vibrating that much make a single string riff quite challenging, never mind soloing. This is why new metal groups love bar chords and textures. If Robert Plant was the one stepping out of his comfort zone in previous reunions, it was time for the two Capricorns, as Robert calls them, to feel the heat this time. Technically speaking, Page and Jonesy played a modern style sound on a classic rock show. Jumble Jones had guitar maker Hugh Manson build a custom bass that could handle the lower registers. A regular instrument could be dangerously unreliable for the reunion. While Jimmy used his famous guitars for the show, not being a consistent live player and the effects of past injuries made the task of playing a down-tuned 12-string guitar and a Gibson Les Paul quite daunting. Had they not rehearsed for 6 weeks, this could have been a serious train wreck. There is absolutely no way 1985 nor 1988 Jimmy could have winged the 2007 gig. The Zeppelin community is thankful for all the rehearsal time for this gig. The overall sound of the down-tuned string combo had a sort of Black Sabbath and Metallica vibe to them. To further prove the point, the front-of-house engineer for the gig was none other than Big Mick, the live audio engineer extraordinaire for Metallica since 1984. Fun fact, at the time of the show, Q Prime Management had both Jimmy Page and Metallica as clients. It's all in the family. So let's go over the show. For storyline and accurate timeline purposes, I will use the recordings we had before the official release. Big Mick was one of the 2 engineers behind the desk at the reunion show. Mick handled the band while Robert Plant's longtime front-of-house mixing guy, Roy Williams, dealt with the lead vocals channel and some of the 40 effects returns. Jimmy Page saw Metallica at Wembley Stadium and was impressed with the sound. He was happy to have Big Mick on board. Just the monitor rig was huge and loud. Preparations for the event were looked out in great detail. The engineers used 36 inputs and 40 effects returns. That's 76 inputs for a 3-piece band. The list of equipment used for the reunion show was impressive. The band did 2 weeks of rehearsal at Black Island Studios in London, then moved to Shepperton, and finally got to the O2 Arena a day before the show. 9 subs on the floor, plus 10 flown either side, had plenty of power at the arena, but its dimensions presented a challenge for the engineers because of its floor, which produced a bass frequency wave up and down the venue. Because the sides of the arena are so steep, this took them by surprise.
Way down inside, Mama, you need it.
The choice for an organic drum sound had them using an Earthworks mix setup. 2 SR25s over the top in an XY configuration, and then a couple of SR25 overheads as well. 1 SR30 on the hi-hat, a Shure SM57 on the top of the snare, and an SR25 on the bottom of the snare. Tom-toms were Audio-Technica's 350s, and the kick drum was a Shure Beta 52, plus another SR25, both with kick pads. Another SR30 on the timpani drum, and 1 AKG 414 on the gong. No use of noise gates was needed. Now for a big surprise, Jimmy's guitar was just a 30-watt orange amp with an Audio-Technica AE2500. That was one of the loudest 30 watts on earth, indeed. Big Mick admits it took him 3 songs to tune the PA for the sold-out arena, which makes sense why the band's opening tracks were played back to back.